So now I would like to invite all our guest speakers to start with the panel discussion on air quality management trends. So starting with Mr. Singh, since you were discussing the air pollution and mitigation, and since air quality is the major concern, how are new trends addressing the challenges of minimizing air pollutants in various environments?
So thank you, Prashant sir, and thank you, Nitin sir. It was a really good and great presentation we had. For trends, if you say, Dashna, I don't follow the tutorials or the textbooks have been written for the mitigation of or controlling of the air pollution. I would say it was rightly presented about the indoor air pollution also, because once the Delhi goes with the AQI more than 300, then the indoor air pollution is almost more than 1,000 in AQIs, right? So if your city gets polluted, then it is not safer to be outside of your house or your building, right? Because it is 3 times more dangerous, the air pollution, what it is inside the building. Okay. For trends, if you say like the National Clean Air Program, NCAP, has listed the critically air polluted towns, and they have the 132 cities listed in their list for India. And I would say why only 132? Because they could test the air qualities of only 132 cities. If they go and test more cities, they will find more cities critically air polluted. You won't find any place in your city, which is a metropolitan or maybe a cobalt town, where you cannot smell the plastic waste burning in any part of India, right? So trends for there is a Swachh Vayu Sarvekshan also has been conducted in 2023 recently for all the critically air polluted cities in India, where Uttar Pradesh has done the remarkable job of controlling their air quality measures, not fluctuating as it was being fluctuated in earlier years, right? So for trends, if you say from the month onwards, September to December, I would talk about the outdoor air pollution only. From the month of September to, you can say, December, it is peak on air pollution for any city. It is peak. So what we need to do, one thing very shortly, I will tell one thing, that waste management, we need to address it properly. The second thing, the best air purifier present into the city, we need to address them as well. Whenever I visit Delhi, I never find any plant, any trees washed or something spreaded with the water. What we do, we need to suppress the dust on roads, but we are not cleaning the plants and trees to purify the air naturally. There was a study published by China. You can say that Beijing city was critically air polluted, and within 3 years they have cleaned their all air pollution. How they have done? They have done it through failure remediation. That failure remediation is what? That treating the bad air through the plants and trees by remediation of the photosynthesis process. But you need to clean the leaves and the layer of the plants or greenery present into your city first. If you're not doing that, whatever suppression of dust you do, it would get airborne again by the movement of people and the vehicles, right? So it is good to measure the quality indoor also, but we need to go for the air quality monitoring for the outdoor places also. Basically, the management of city is always in a manner should be done that wherever the stacks, like the Terry has done a study for the UP, and a particular source apportionment study has been done by IIT Kanpur for Lucknow and Kanpur. So the 27% of the air pollution is being contributed through stacks. What stacks? What they have found, right? So and that more than 28% air pollution, they have shown that it is being transported through air from the agglomeration of the city, which I don't agree. So basically for air pollution, you need to make your embankments pakka. You need to control your airborne dust. You need to manage your traffic. You need to maintain your roads. and you need to maintain your waste management, the garbage burning, because it's a whole world of hazardous gases. The NASA and WHO has found that cadmium is being airborne only through garbage burning. So cadmium, it's a highly carcinogenic material, and if you follow the good lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, but you passes through a garbage burning heap and you inhale just 2-3 times nearby, then you are exposed to the carcinogenic elements to your body. So air pollution is a very, very serious concern, and we need a lot of time to explain about this, because my day and night supposed to think about the pollution control measures and all, right? So there are certain techniques through which we can control, and very easy in saying, but very difficult to implement for government and for an individual. So these are the trends. Like in last 3 years, that NCAP towns list is going up only. We have not declared any town which was earlier critically air polluted, and now it is not in that list. So every year we are adding more and more towns into the critically air polluted cities. So that's it from my side. Any questions from anyone? I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you.
Mr. Nayak, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think what we first, as in my presentation, I said that you need to have continuous monitoring. If you do not have monitoring throughout the building, you do not know whether you have poor air quality, how bad is the air quality, or how good is the air quality. It is right that indoor air quality generally is 5 to 7 times worse than outdoor air anywhere. And we need to first find out what the problem is. When you have a device integrated with a good IoT based dashboard, that is where the new trends are coming in, because these dashboards can even forecast or can even activate a demand control ventilation system. It is always possible in large installations where you have air handling units along with treated fresh air. You may have a heat recovery wheel or an energy recovery system. But even for small offices, now you do get separate demand control ventilation systems that inject treated outside fresh air, at the same time conserving energy. So these are the trends where we need to go, because for CO2 as well as for TVOCs, the best solution is to get treated outside fresh air and dilute it inside, whatever else you do.
Thank you. Mr. Jain, we would like to hear your views on this.
So I think one very stark change which we have noticed is the level of awareness. In fact, since we are providing these indoor air quality monitoring tools to our customer, we have seen in last 4 to 5 years, the fastest growing product family is actually the IAQ family, which clearly tells us that there is a high awareness level within all the stakeholders. So be it end customer, be it industries, be it facility maintenance companies, because as we discussed, that the first step to reduce is to measure that what is the current status, where we are right now. Once we know where we are, only then we can make some improvement. So we see a huge awareness which is coming into this segment, not only on an institutional basis. In fact, people who are from Delhi, they would know that every year in around September, October, when the pollution starts spiking in northern part of India, the sale of air purifier goes high. And these air purifier does not go to institutions. These actually go to individuals like you and me. In fact, I also have a couple of air purifiers at my home, which I use as required. Once this awareness builds, this institutional awareness builds, if I know that I want to give a clean air to my family, I want to give clean water to my family, consciously or unconsciously, people will start working in a way which reduces the pollution. I hope so that's the matter. And at the same time, we are seeing that air pollution is not only a cosmetic point of view now. In fact, in Delhi, last election was fought, and air pollution, water pollution, in fact, cleaning of Yamuna River in Delhi, it was one of the political point also. So there is a political will, there is a high level of awareness, institutional awareness and individual awareness. There are various stakeholders, for example, a magazine like Thermal Control and professionals like Mr. Daman and Mr. Sav Daman and Mr. Nitin. And then there are organizations like Fluke, who offers who come together on a platform offers a solution to the people who are working in this field. So overall, I think if you look at a global level, national level, as well as institutional and individual level, there are solutions available, there are products available, there is a willpower, and I'm sure things will be much better in time to come. So we are on a progress path. The progress may be a little slower than what we expect, but I'm sure we are in the right direction.
Thank you, sir, for the update on new trends. Coming to Mr. Nayak, what innovations can ventilation system manufacturers bring to provide safer indoor environment in crowded spaces like offices and schools in urban areas?
Yeah, in crowded spaces, specifically in schools, the biggest challenge is mitigating CO2 levels. And along with CO2 levels, then we also have VOCs. So for this kind of a problem, the best solution is to get in outside treated fresh air, to measure CO2 as well as TVOCs, and you have to do this in a controlled manner. Demand controlled ventilation is the best. You have to do it in a controlled manner because you also need to optimize energy performance, because ultimately you cannot be spending too much money on energy. So that is the best way to do it.
Thank you for sharing your highlights on innovations. So Mr. Jain, what regulatory and monitoring standards are available for air quality management? What is the suggestion to develop new standards given the increasing infrastructure? With urbanization and industrialization on the rise, how are ventilation systems utilizing sensors and real-time data to ensure air quality while adapting to changing occupancy?
Okay. Yeah. So like what Mr. Nitin said, that basically, in any building or in any industrial facility, depending upon time of the day, depending upon the process which is going on at that time, the load is dynamic. So if you look at an office, the HVAC system might be required from 9 to 5 in full capacity, maybe in half capacity in 5 to 8, and maybe not required after 10 o'clock when the occupancy is very less. So we need to identify, we need to see the time pattern, the time cycle of our process in an institutional building, or for example in a manufacturing shop floor. Deploying a large scale air conditioning may not be possible, but then we have air handling unit, which is evaporative air handling units. So based upon our process, based upon our internal occupancy levels, we need to identify that, and of course a continuous monitoring is required for this. So based as I said, that if there is high occupancy, if there is a temperature, humidity, as well as let's say the process is generating some heat, there is a high CO2 level, we need to draw in more air. There are automatic dampeners available which can adjust based upon the requirement, and demand based air conditioning is what we can deploy. And why it is important, why we can't run it at full speed or at full capacity, because the energy is expensive. In any typical building, if we talk about a data center or a hotel, hospital or a mall, almost 50 to 60% energy cost is only because of the air conditioning system. And treating outside air is costly. While we can say, to reduce our VOC or CO2, we will take 50% air from outside, we'll take fresh air. But the cost of filtering that air, there are large filters which needs to be deployed, and these HEPA filters are expensive filters. And then you need to maybe dehumidify the air, clean it using the filter, then cool it using a chiller. It involves a lot of process. So demand-based air conditioning is the best solution wherever we have dynamic situations. And we should not only look at the traditional air conditioning for places like, let's say, a manufacturing shop floor or an assembly floor. We can also look at evaporative air cooling, which is much less costly, much less energy intensive as our traditional cooling methods. And one thing I think, apart from this cooling, using a machine-based cooling, I think there are two things which all of us must do. One is, God has given the best air conditioner available on this planet, which is trees. We should always find to plant more trees whenever we get chance. Second is the architecture. If we look at our traditional architecture, especially people who are from Rajasthan, you will see that the architecture itself plays a huge role in improving the indoor air quality as well as the overall comfort of the occupants. So nowadays I see, I'm based in Delhi, so I see Noida and Gurgaon, they are coming up with huge glass facade, which creates a lot of greenhouse effect inside the building. The energy can come inside, the heat can come inside the building, but it cannot go outside the building. To prevent that, we are using double insulating glass, but at the end it is a glass. Okay, so if we move back to our natural substance, if we move back to our ancient wisdom, our own architecture, instead of blindly aping the Western world. In Western world, the problem is not heating. The problem is that the exterior is very cold. So glass can actually help as a exterior cladding material. But in India, it is absolutely other way around. We have to cool the building, not heat the building. So glass is very good when you have to heat the building, or you have to keep it insulated. Whereas in India, a lot of creates a greenhouse impact within the inside the building, and then we have to spend a lot of energy to cool that air. So plant more trees, utilize our ancient wisdom, our traditional architecture, and then there are scientific methods of not always look for air conditioning, but maybe evaporative air cooling, especially for institutional level cooling. That can be a fantastic thing.
Thank you for sharing your views. We have questions for you from Mr. Rahul. He's asking why tachometers are required when the motor or fan is running on VFD at a specified frequency set.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, that nowadays everything is sensor based. Okay, but how do we know whether the sensor is right or not? Not every motor, because in any installation, if you go to an industry or a building, 90% of the motors are less than 2 HP. 90%. And all these motors which are less than 5 HP, typically they are not on VFD, because the cost of VFD is much higher than the cost of energy saving. So while VFD makes sense after a certain rating of the motors, for smaller motors, if I need to check, I have set the motor at, let's say it should run at 1200 RPM. Is it running at 1200 or not? Okay, my fan should be at a particular speed. What is the speed? Is it at that speed or not? In some process manufacturing, there could be a conveyor. So is my conveyor speed right or not? If the conveyor should be say half meter or 1 meter, tachometer is not directly connected to a occupant's comfort or the air, but it is connected with the infrastructure which is running the system. So there are motors, there are chiller, there are fans, there are screw compressors, and many times we need to measure what is their speed. Not everything is fitted with a VFD. Of course, if something has a VFD or something already has a speed counter, we don't need, but not all motors are fitted with VFD or speed counters. So hence for those fans, we might need tachometers. And now the good part is tachometer comes in two major form. One is contact type and second is non-contact type. So contact type, we have to go near to the motor and touch the shaft. In non-contact, we can take the readings from a distance, which is much safer, much quicker also. So, and the good part, Fluke offers both. We offer a choice of contact type tachometer as well as a contact plus non-contact type tachometer.
Thank you. I hope Mr. Rahul received the answer he was looking for. Coming to Mr. Singh, are there any notable initiatives or projects, whether government or non-government, which are working for improving air quality in India?
Yes, the UP Pollution Control Board in UP and all state pollution control boards are working to improve the air quality, because the towns which are listed into the critically air polluted list, they are being funded through Central Pollution Control Board, and the funds are given on the basis of their performance. If they are able to control the pollutants within the set limits, and there is a certain percentage like 10 to 20% reduction into the PM 2.5 and PM 10 measurements, and if it is going on for next 2-3 months, then they get released their next installment. And there is a huge funding, like the certain instrument also have been funded from the government, like water sprinklers, that smoke guns to be used in the public areas, and the making the payments for construction and for plantation, for enhancing the urban greenery. So these all things have been are being funded from the government side. So I would like to add, like we need to adopt the practices like Mr. Jain has rightly mentioned, plant more trees and design your architecture in a way that it should help you to get naturally cool air or evaporative cooling systems. I do support his dialogues and his statement. For air pollution, I would say the problem is that handling it in a wrong manner is also a problem and also increase the air pollution causes. They have fixed up the air quality monitoring systems also in different parts of the cities which are listed into the critically air polluted towns. Let's say for Lucknow, there are 5 air quality monitoring systems have been installed. One into the industrial area, one into the public area, one into the commercial places. Then others are into huge gathering like public places like bus stand and railway stations. So they do gather the data from those monitoring stations, and then accordingly they take the remedial actions. And once they get to improve on air quality measurements, then they get additional funding to improve upon the air quality. Or even doing the source apportionment studies, collaborating with the institutes like IITs, JEE and other institutes, they do have the funds to collaborate. And in fact, I would say the companies, the people from from Dew Point and Fluke, also they can come, they can step up and talk to the government for grouping up to mitigate the air pollution. For indoor air pollution also they are working. So there are a lot of things being happening. The particular project, if you say, so all government schemes are in a scheme like they have some name like Swachh Vayu Abhiyan, something like that.
Thank you, sir, for informative sharing. Since we have reached the end of the session, I would like Mr. Nayak to give concluding statements.
My only concluding statement would be that nothing which is not measured can be managed. So continuous monitoring is the most important aspect of IAQ management.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's air quality measurement trends. We hope you enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Nitin Nayak, Mr. Sarvadaman Singh, and Mr. Prashant Jain. I would also like to thank Mr. Gopal Anand for taking this initiative. We request the delegates and viewers to stay connected with us on our social media handles. Thermal Control Magazine is also available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. With this, we would want to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay connected with us. Thank you and goodbye.